Hello, and welcome back to Let's Get Lit. In today's podcast, we're covering Chapter 2 of the Odyssey. Remember, if you haven't caught up on Chapter 1, it is available now to listen to. Alright, everyone ready to go back to ancient Greece? Awesome. From where we left off, it's the next morning. Telemachus gets up and gets dressed. He then sends out his messengers to gather the people of Ithaca together for a meeting. He then heads to the meeting place with his pupper dogs, and he takes a seat in his father's chair. Egyptus speaks first. He welcomes everyone to the meeting and then goes on to tell of how his son Antiphus went with Odysseus to Ilium to fight in the Battle of Troy. Homer then tells the reader that Antiphus had been eaten by the Cyclops while they were all in the cave. So spoiler alert, he's dead. Egyptus says that since Odysseus has left, there has not been a single council called. He then wishes that whoever will be speaking will tell them of something important. He then wishes them well and hopes that Zeus will grant them whatever their heart desires. Telemachus greets everyone and thanks Egyptus for the warm welcome. He says that he has called council today to speak about two things. One, the loss of his father, who he reminds everyone was their ruler and a great man. He was like a father to most. Second, that the suitors are ruining his estate. They are all too afraid to ask Penelope's father for her hand in marriage, and give gifts to her father. He also gets onto them because they keep eating and drinking everything in his house. He tells the men that he knows that if Odysseus were to be here, he would take on all of the suitors himself. Sadly, since his father is not there, he, Telemachus, cannot take them all on. He then pleads with them, saying that if they don't stop, they should fear of the gods turning against them. He then says that unless his father had wronged the Achaeans in some way, he does not deserve this wrong treatment of the estate. Lastly, he tells the suitors that if he is eaten out of house and home, he will then go door to door and demand repayment to restock his house. Telemachus then throws his spear down and starts to cry. Everyone feels sorry for him except Antinous. Antinous is basically like a spoiled asshole. He tells Telemachus that it is his mother's fault for what is happening at his father's estate. She keeps flirting with all of the suitors, and she also has set up a needlework in her room, and told all of them that as soon as she finishes her work, she will choose a husband, but she hasn't finished her work yet. Antinous tells Telemachus that for 3 years she has been working on her needlepoint, and that she has yet to finish. He also says that one of Penelope's handmaids told the suitors that every night she undoes what she worked on the day previous, to delay and extend the time before she has to hold up her end of the bargain. Antinous says that because they have all learned of this, the suitors will not leave until she and her father have decided who her new husband will be. So for now, the suitors will eat and drink as they please, and they will do whatever they please. Telemachus answers Antinous and tells him that he cannot send his mother back to her father's house. To send his mother back to his grandfather would be too costly, and the estate does not have that kind of money. Heaven would also punish him if he did. His mother would call upon the Furies to avenge her. He then says that if they take offense, they can leave and feast somewhere else. If they continue to sponge off him, heaven help them, for they will die by the hand of Zeus. At that moment, Zeus sends 2 eagles down to fly over the city where Telemachus was speaking. They flew over the council and then fought one another. Once they fought for a few seconds, the eagle flies away. Halitherses, a prophet, sees this as a sign and gives everyone a warning. He says that Odysseus will be back soon. When he gets back, he will kill and murder many people, mainly the suitors, but also some of the other people of Ithaca. He then goes on to tell the suitors to leave now before it is too late. He then references his prophecy from 20 years ago, when Odysseus would come back from the war of Troy a long time after the war had finished. He would come back alone, all of his crew dead. Eurymachus then says, "Go home, old man. Go prophesy to your own kids. I can read omens better than you can, and this means nothing. Birds play in the sun all the time. Odysseus has died in a far-off country, and it's too bad you aren't dead among him. Instead of wasting your breath trying to get Telemachus angrier, just leave. He won't give you a reward for being a brown-noser. You should also know better than to stir up this young kid. If you do get him angry, we, the suitors, will take care of him. And you as well, old man." He then tells Telemachus to take his mother back to her father to find a husband. Until then, they will continue to harass him and eat up all of his estate. Oh, and they won't repay him because they don't like him or care for him. He then tells Halitherses that he can keep prophesying, but they still hate him. Telemachus then says, Eurymachus, I will say no more. The people and gods know my story. Give me a ship of 20 men, and I will sail to Sparta and Pylos. I will see if people are talking of my father. If my father is still alive, I will put up with you for 12 more months. If my father is indeed dead, I will come back and we will celebrate his life. We will also honor him with funeral games, and I will see to it that my mother is married again. Telemachus then sits down, and Mentor, who has been left in charge since Odysseus has left, gets up to speak. He then says, I hope your next ruler is mean and cruel to you all. All of you forgotten the legacy of Odysseus, how he was a just and fair ruler, how he treated many of you like you were his own son. He's angry with the suitors for they want to do violence that's in their hearts, but he is more upset with the people of Ithaca who just sit there and let these awful men do what they want to. No one is trying to put a stop to them, and there are many more people of Ithaca than of suitors. Leocritus then speaks up and says that even if Odysseus would return to his house, he wouldn't be able to fight off all of the suitors. Though his wife wants him back, there are too many suitors to fight. Also, he says that he does not believe for 1 minute Telemachus would go on a voyage to see about his father. He is too scared and comfortable at home to go. He would rather wait at home and receive news from someone else. The meeting ends and everyone leaves. The suitors head back to the home of Odysseus to continue their behavior. Telemachus goes to the sea, washes his hands, and prays to Athena. He says that he wants to go, but everyone is against him and stopping him from going. Also, he asks for wisdom and that he knew yesterday Athena was the one who visited him. Athena hears this and tells Telemachus in Mentor's voice that if he truly were the son of Odysseus, he would not be a fool or coward henceforth. For Odysseus would never break his word or leave things half done. If he is the son of Odysseus, go, voyage, and his trip will be fruitful. If he is his mother's son, then he will not succeed. Do not listen to the suitors, for they are stupid and won't see that they will all die soon, and on the same day. She then says to go home and get ready to set sail. Get the food and wine ready and all stacked up. She will go get a ship and get volunteers. She promises to pick out the best ship for him. They will meet up later at night, and she will set sail with him on his voyage. When Telemachus gets home, he sees the suitors eating the meats from his house. Antinous sees him and tells him to stop and eat with them, that the Achaeans will find him a ship, a crew, and supplies, and everything else he would need for his voyage. Telemachus tells Antinous thanks, but no thanks, and that as a boy he couldn't see just how awful of a person Antinous was, but now he can see it in full glory. Telemachus then wishes all of the harm possible onto Antinous. He then says he has to go and get ready himself. He pulls away from Antinous and walks away. The rest of the suitors make fun of him. One taunts him, saying that he will go to Sparta and find himself some friends to bring back and kill all of them. Or that he will go to Irphia and get poison to put in their wine. Another says that maybe he will die like his father, away from his friends and family. Telemachus goes to his father's storeroom, where everything from gold to wire to clothes are stored. He then asks Eurycleia to get him some wine and barley meal. He will be going to Sparta tonight after his mother has gone to bed, to see if anyone has news of his father. Eurycleia then gets sad and tells Telemachus that if he leaves, the last of the household will have left. She also asked who put this crazy idea into his head. As soon as you are gone, these men will come up with the plan to murder you and split up all of your worldly possessions. She begs him to stay here and not worry about spending his life on the seas. Telemachus then asks Eurycleia not to tell his mother he is gone for at least 10 to 12 days. He does not want his mother to spoil herself by crying, but if she asks, then tell her what he has done. He then reassures her that this mission is not in vain, that heaven has arranged it and it will be fruitful. Eurycleia gets everything ready for him, and Telemachus goes back to the suitors. At the same time, Athena gets a crew of volunteers together and tells them to meet at the shore at sundown. She then goes to Nomen and asks for a boat. He gives her one, and she prepares it and gets it ready to get into the water. She then gets the boat into the water herself. When the crew arrives, she talks to all of them individually and encourages them. Athena then puts all of the suitors to sleep through their wine, and she takes the form of Mentor. She calls for Telemachus to come outside. She tells him that everything is ready and to follow her. They get to the ship, and he instructs the men to help him load the ship with food and wine from his house. After they finish getting everything on board, Athena, disguised as Mentor, and Telemachus get on the boat. Athena sends a strong gust of wind, and Telemachus gives the orders, and they move out onto the night sea. Once they get going, they make offerings to Athena, and they row from dark until dawn. That is the end of chapter 2. I hope you guys like, share, subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoy. All right, have a great one, guys. And as always, stay lit.